Great day, everyone. This is Jason Santos, and for today, we are going to discuss the determination of exchange rate under international business and trade. So, start na tayo, no? So, under the table of contents, we have the determination of currency rates, factors affecting currency rates, and the current state of Philippine economy. So, first, let's try to understand, how do we read graphs, okay, which pertains to exchange rate. So, paano ba natin siya mababasa? Okay? So, we have to understand first that the foreign exchange markets or the FX markets work similar to any other market where there is a product being bought and sold. So, merong produkto. And just like any other product, if the price of that product is really high, pag sobrang taas, people wouldn't want to purchase it. No? Konti lang yung gustong bumili dahil masyado mataas yung presyo. Or there will be very little demand for it. As the price of a commodity falls, people will demand more of it, so we have a downward sloping demand curve for currency. Just like what we do for anything else that at the same time, the price is high. People would want to supply more of that product. So, going to our graph, no, you can look and see yung regular, we have the axis, so axis for price and then the axis for quantity. Okay? And then you have two slopes or curves. The first one is supply, which goes here. Let me bring out my pointer. So this is the supply curve and this is for the demand curve. Now, wherever these points meet or these curves meet, yung point na yon is what you call the equilibrium point. No? Yung equilibrium point kung saan nagkikita yung supply and demand, where the supply and demand meets. Okay? And from that equilibrium point, you will know what is the price for a certain number of quantity. Now, these curves move, okay? So, it moves in different directions. And when it moves, paano natin siya babasahin? Ano? So, first, let's try to understand the nature of the movements. No? So, first, we have a movement that pertains to the increase in the demand of currency. Meaning, mas madami yung gustong kumuha ng currency na yon, mas marami yung gustong bumili, resulting to a shift in equilibrium. What is the characteristics of this increase? So, yung direction niya is right, the price increases, and the quantity increases. So, this is our demand curve, kanina. And then, this is the supply, and then at the center, you have the equilibrium. And then from here, the point moves, or sorry, the curve moves into the right direction. Okay? So, when it moves, gumagalaw din yung equilibrium point niya. So, from here, nagmo-move siya pa ganito, kaya ito na ngayon yung equilibrium point natin. And in our equilibrium point, you can see that the price is high, the quantity is high. So, there are a lot of factors that contributes to it, and we will delve into that later. Okay? As to what causes these, okay? It could be gusto lang talaga nilang bumili ng products from that country, or they are planning to travel into that country, that this country has high levels of tourism, no? So naturally, when you go there, you would have to be prepared with the currency at hand. So, yun yung mga factors, if we would go on the other side, which is a decrease in the demand of currency, no? There's also a shift in equilibrium. Ano ba yung nature niya? The direction is left. So when it goes left, the price decreases, the quantity decreases. So ito siya kanina, this is your equilibrium point. Dahil nag-move yung curve going to the left, this is now your equilibrium point. And in this equilibrium point, you can see that the price is low, it decreases, and the quantity decreases. And there are several factors to this. Ano? Maybe there's lesser people wanting to buy the exports. No? They're not interested, they don't need it. There's less travel, no? Wala masyado nagpupunta dun sa isang bansa na yun. Ano? So, those are just some of the factors, and we cannot generally or make assumptions as to why there's a decrease or a decrease happens. So tatandaan natin, when we are talking of demand, left is decrease and then right increase. Okay? Now, what about supply? So for supply, it's just the reverse, okay? When the direction of the curve goes to the right, okay, there's a decrease in supply of currency. And then when it goes to the left, there's an increase in the supply of currency. So balikan ko lang mabilis, ano? Decrease in supply of currency, direction is right, the price decreases. Kasi nakita ninyo, no? From here, nag-move siya pababa. So ito na yung price niya. But the quantity increases. Okay? So from the quantity point here, it has moved here. But it's not good because it means that there's higher quantity because no one wants to buy it, or there's lesser people who would want to get the currency or avail the currency. And then on the other hand, when there is an increase in the supply of currency, the direction is left, the price increases, and then the quantity decreases. The quantity decreases in such a manner that because mataas yung presyo, no, there is a few production of that currency at mas nagmamahal yung value ng currency na yun. Ano? You could actually think of it this way, no? Parang this is just basic law of economics, no? When there's an oversupply of a certain commodity, the price drops, no? A perfect example of this is what happened with wag na tayong lumayo, no? Yung nangyari sa face shield. During the time when it was first mandated that people need to wear face shields whenever they are going out, what happened to people, no? Most people panicked. They wanted to hoard face shield, and the first release of the face shield costs around 60 pesos, 70 pesos. Meron pa nga daw nagbenta 100 pesos, right? But what we do not know is that the supply is actually ready. Okay? The stocks are already there. It's available. So, when it went out, no, lahat ng supply, it went out, people realized na ang dami naman pala niyan. In fact, sobra-sobra yung supply of face shields na it's not being disposed properly na nga eh. And then what happened? The price is now low. You can see face shield being sold at 5 pesos, 10 pesos, or even 15 pesos. No? So, that's a perfect example na when people realize there's an oversupply of certain commodity, bumababa yung value niya. No? In the same manner, this is also the reason why the countries cannot just print money. Basic economics question yan. Bakit hindi na lang tayo magprint ng pera? And the same answer, because it would devalue the money. No, it would devalue our currency. And there's so much money going around, it has less value, no? Wala na siya masyadong halaga. Okay? Dahil marami na nagsisirculate eh. And there's not enough resources or assets to back up the amount of money circulating. No? If we would put it in reverse, whichever items that are extremely rare, konti lang in production. Like for example, if you have limited edition items like a limited edition shoes, limited edition bags, what happens? The price always goes up, no? Pataas na pataas palagi yung presyo niya. It's because it's rare. There's a limited amount of these resources or these items. So ganun din no, when we are talking of currencies. Okay, so I hope we understand this. Now that we know how to read graphs, whether a certain direction interprets a decrease or an increase, let's now discuss what are the factors affecting a country's currency exchange rate. So, nakita na natin yung paggalaw, yung movement, no? Whether it increases or decreases. So, ano ba yung reason? Bakit siya nag-i-increase or nagdi-decrease? So, first reason would be inflation. So, as a rule, a country with lower inflation rate exhibits a rising currency. Pag mababa yung inflation in a country, mataas yung currency value and its purchasing power. Countries with higher inflation, pagka mataas naman yung inflation, the currency value drops. Kapag mataas yung inflation, mababa ang halaga ng pera. Like for example, in the Philippines, there were years or periods wherein $1 is equivalent to 54 pesos. If I'm not mistaken, today, February 2020, we are playing at around 47 to 48 pesos. So, it's already a good indication, although we shouldn't be complacent. So, that's one, yung inflation, it's a factor as to why the currency goes up and it goes down. Now, in the perspective of a business, it is a huge factor. If you are involved in trading, if you are importing and exporting, syempre, kailan mo i-schedule yung importation and exportation mo? Dun sa period na mababa yung palitan, right? Because it means that you will be saving money. Like for example, tomorrow it's 47 pesos. Today it's 48 pesos. So naturally, if I would be given an option to select between the two, pipiliin ko yung bukas if I'm projecting it's 47 pesos. Kasi I will save a lot of money. We are not talking of a few quantities. We're talking of millions and millions of amount of purchases being traded from one country to another. So that's a factor. Second, interest rates. By manipulating interest rates, central banks exert influence over both inflation and exchange rate. So, the higher the interest rate, offer lender a higher return relative to other countries. So, of course, if you are a business that considers a higher return, that's what you are after. Of course, you would go for countries with higher interest rates. Like for example, you have Bank A and Bank B. Bank A offers interest rates of 7%, while Bank B offers 9%. So if you're planning to have a higher return for your money, you would go for Bank B. Okay? Kasi they have higher interest rates. Okay? So the impact of interest rates is mitigated if a country's inflation is much higher than other countries, or if additional factors serve to drive their currency value down. So yung interest rate is also affected by inflation, other kumbaga related siya sa iba pang mga factors, Kasi countries just cannot dictate what is going to be their interest rate, There are other factors playing or contributing into the determination of interest rates. So, in the same manner, or ideally, trading partners look for ways on how they could take advantage of the interest rate. Okay? So, another would be yung CAD or ng current account deficits. So, current account deficit is the balance of trade between a country and its trading partners, reflecting all payments for countries between goods, services, interest, and dividends. So, when we say current account deficit, okay, it talks of importation. Okay? If the importation is higher as compared to exportation, that means that there is a problem or an issue with the country. Okay? Anong ibig sabihin nun? The country is not producing more than it imports. Kumbaga kahit sa ang anggulo mo tingnan, mas maganda talaga yung mas marami kang ina-export versus mas marami kang ini-import. It just means that you are not using your resources properly or nagre-rely ka lang sa production ng ibang countries. Right? It's not good. Okay? Or you can also look at it, or other countries will also look at it in a manner na the country is hoarding. It's just taking and taking goods from other countries without offering their own resources for exportation. Kumbaga, puro ka lang take, wala kang give. Or mababa lang yung give mo. So, that is something that is being measured amongst countries. It's like a barometer, a measurement indicator. So, again, yung current account deficits natin, exportation should be higher as compared to importation. Another factor would be public debt. Okay? If the public debt is high, of course, it's less attractive for foreign investors. Again, debt is it's not bad, kasi it gets a bad rap. Although many countries are borrowing from the World Bank. And no single president is solely responsible for high country debt. Okay? Just like what's happening with the Philippines, we have trillions of debt. So you can't blame just one president, because it's a chain reaction. Culture also plays a huge role as to why nalulubog tayo sa utang. Oftentimes kasi when we have projects, it's not being continued when there is a change in the leadership or there's a change in presidency. So, nagpapalit ng president, nagpapalit ng mga projects, hindi natutuloy yung projects. Or minsan, ina-abandon na yung projects. But if you would look at other countries, progressive countries, they have leadership that is for a long period of time or long span of time. The good side of that is that the projects are continuous. So there's like a 10-year plan, a 15-year plan, so on and so forth. Okay? So, nevertheless, if our debt is used properly, okay, then it would encourage investors, right? Kasi for example, in the development of Skyway, it's good, okay? And it was taken from national debt, okay? Inutang yan, yung perang ginamit para ipatayo yung Skyway. But the project benefits the Filipino people. Imagine the trip from Balintawak going to Buendia is just 15 minutes. Okay? So, bawas traffic. It's an income generation for the government. Okay? More people are being more productive kasi hindi na sila malilate. Okay? Mas marami na silang time. Okay? So, that's just an example. And then we go to number 5, terms of trade. So, generally, whichever country who has the upper hand or the better position in terms of trade shows an appreciation in the currency. Like for example, let's say Philippines and China. Between these two countries, of course, we all know that China has the upper hand or the better terms of trade. So we can't just simply say that we don't like China or we are planning to withdraw from China, because if China would say it would cease its terms of trade with the Philippines, then it's going to affect a lot of people, and a lot of people would lose their jobs, particularly those involved in the exportation sector. yung mga involved dun sa exportation of goods going to China. So we have to consider that, or the government has to consider that, right? That's why most of the time in terms of trading, we just tend to agree with whatever terms of trade China indicates. Kasi because they have the better position. Okay. Also, lastly, we can say political stability and economic performance. So foreign investors inevitably seek out foreign countries with strong economic performance. So those with strong economic performance, meaning no political turmoil, no civil war, no issues within the society. Okay. As you come to think of it, if you are an investor, you're a businessman, you wouldn't want any issues, no? Wala naman business na gustong magkaroon ng sakit ng ulo eh. So, if they see any issues running their business in a particular country, then, of course, they would withdraw that business and place it elsewhere, safe and peaceful. Okay? So, we now understand how we could read graphs, and we also now know the factors affecting the increase or decrease in currencies. So, as for the Philippines, we all know our advantage in the beginning, which is we have high English speaking workforce. So, maraming Filipinos are very good when it comes to English speaking. And that's the reason why we have a lot of BPO companies here. The only problem is that some investors are shying away, no? Hindi sila tumutuloy. It's because of some detractors that they are seeing, like high taxation in the Philippines. So, totoo naman yan, ano? There are a lot of commodities wherein mataas yung taxation, and they are planning to put taxes in many products and services, no? In order for us to pay the debts that we have, but particularly those that are born after the period of pandemic, no? So yung transportation natin, yung education system, telecommunication, yung frequent issues with the internet connection, slow internet connection, those are some of the factors affecting the decision of the investor to do business here. So, yun yung current state of Philippine economy, no? So, with that, I'm leaving you with a question, ano? What do you think are some good ideas in order to entice foreign investors and securing a high foreign market appraisal? So, that's the end of this discussion. I hope you have learned something. For more videos like this, please check out my playlists and follow me on all the social media platforms I'm in. So with that, thank you so much. To God be all the glory. Till our next episode.